good destroyed and abnormal is presented as normal. You can't run from evil within yourself or outside of self. You got to deal with it. And you need good in order to deal with evil. And God is good. You need to return to the Father. And you'll see within you, he will fight the battle for you. And he will fight it without, because he will show you how to deal with it. And you will have no fear. Love God with all your heart, all your soul, all your might, along with nothing else. Nothing else means yourself, your children, your wife, your things, your ego, your reputation, and all that. You can't care about any of that. The children of anger will use it to control you. But if you love God, he will renew your mind, and none of those things will be before him. And so when they go after you, oh, well, you may take my body, you may take my things, but you're not going to take my soul. And that's a true reality. Anytime you have situations happening in your life, always be still. Don't overreact. Most of the people that I know, they say, oh, I know Jesus. I love Jesus. I'm an observer. And as soon as something don't go their way, they get mad. I'm like, what the? If you overreact, folks, remember to do that. Don't overreact. And when you get mad, it's your problem. It ain't your wife's problem, your husband's problem, your neighbor, your friend, your preacher, your teacher. It's your problem. Why you think you tick? It didn't go your way or the way you think it should go. Don't have a way you think it should go. Let life just happen. Thoughts make you think that life should go the way you want it to go. And if it doesn't, if someone don't do or say or act the way you think they should act, you hate them. And then you blame them for being mad. It's the darndest thing I ever seen. But it's amazing to see it. So relax. Isn't he Mexican?
Colombian.
He calls himself American.
What is this?
Anchor Baby.
And in this corner, it's the American Anchor Baby.
Daddy's home.
That's an offensive term. People find that hurtful.
You mean it's not politically correct? Excuse me. I'll use the word anchor baby.
You know, he's an anchor baby in Canada.
Tell him we still rolling with Trump, too.
Anchor baby, the whole thing sounds horrific. You're just making it sound like immigrants are these horrific, greedy people.
Ustedes pueden aceptar mi negocio o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo.
So you would be considered white, in my opinion.
You the blackest one in this room.
I think so.
And what happened was his mama got pregnant on the other side of the border. And then a few hours before, just before it was time for him to pop out, she jumped across the border and let him fall on American soil. So he became the anchor baby. You don't call him the anchor baby for nothing. Amazing.
We like this anchor baby, right?
Hello, I'm the American Anchor Baby, and this is my show. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in on this fine Monday. What a fine Monday it is to be back. It's a fine Monday to be back. A pleasure to be back here on this Monday. Got a bit of a show for you today. You know, it's a ting. It's a ting with the Middle East. You know how it goes. It's a ting, and they all want to fight, okay? But there's some amazing moments that are happening with Trump. Some amazing moments here that are being reported on. Some moves done by Trump here, all by his lonesome, going to the Middle East, talking to the men directly, talking to those people directly, okay? The Houthis, the Hamas, whoever it is. And some people are not too happy about it, you know? Some are saying this is marking a bit of a change in America's modus operandi, so to speak, in terms of the region and Middle East and all that. Trump is going on his lonesome, in a sense, going against Netanyahu and doing his thing here, trying to make that deal happen, trying to make peace happen. The reports are a little bit interesting here, and I want to kind of get into them a bit. Deal with the Houthis and all that. Reports are that he's going to recognize Palestine as a state. Now, I don't know about that one, folks. I think that story's out there, maybe for even a reason. I want to get into a number of the details here concerning all that, okay? War. Because basically, what did we learn recently? They have literal spies. They have literal spies in the U.S. government, right? You hear about it. Hamas, October 7th happened. You're like, okay, I keep hearing things about war, Israel, America stuff. And it's like the other week, we got U.S., as far as, I may be stretching the definition of that word a little bit here. You guys know me. I speak from a place of supreme ignorance on some of these things, but you watch me for my instincts. And I'll give you some of my instincts on this, and it straight up is a U.S. spy, like spies in the U.S. from foreign nations, right? They said Mike Waltz was working closely with Benjamin Netanyahu, and is one of the reasons why there's been some of this major decoupling. They're reporting it as major decoupling between the U.S. and Israel. And if you ask me, it's because Trump wants peace. Trump is a man that wants peace and is trying to fight for America. And in other ways, Benjamin Netanyahu is a man who's fighting for Israel. And the world becomes a little bit clearer and less confusing when you realize people have their teams, they have their nations, their groups, their religions, and they hate each other. Okay, straight up. So it becomes a little bit less mysterious. And I want to get into some of those details. You might find it fascinating. Okay. So that's all that. We got a bunch of other things. How do you describe this quickly? Essentially, jurors and a large swath of the judicial system in America is absolutely useless, and we got the data on it. And it depends on your skin color. It depends on your skin color. But I'm not race obsessed. You're race obsessed, and I'm going to prove that too. Maybe. We're going to get into a number of things here. There's a bunch of news, honestly. I appreciate you being here with me today. I'm the American Anchor Baby. If you want to call in, you can call in. 888-775-3773. Something on your mind, something you want to get off your chest, something you want to speak about here. You could definitely call in 888-775-3773. Other than that, let me welcome all the people here. How you doing, everybody? Welcome to the show, rumble.com/American Anchor Baby. That's dlive.tv/Gorgonzola. Punchy.tv. Make an account on Punchy. Ew, don't say decoupling. Oh, you don't like that one? What about degloving? I won't say decoupling, but how about the U.S. is degloving Israel from their foreign policy. Okay, we'll get back to that. It's a work in progress. Thanks for being here, C-Sal, everybody. And all my viewers on YouTube, okay? Thank you, everybody. Click the like button. If you come and watch my show, you come and sit here, you come and click the like button, okay? You don't like it, leave a comment. Don't be rude. Be an American. Speak your mind. Jump in the chat and say hello. Have some decorum. Appreciate it, Lord Spike Protein. Trying to keep the decorum here. It's an uphill battle, and I can't do it by myself. So we appreciate Lord Spike Protein for a little bit of getting y'all in line. So click the like button. Don't be rude. That's you're telling me degloving is 1,000,000 times worse than decoupling? That's worse, actually? You're saying that's visually worse, evoking worse visuals? My apologies. Ooh, do not Google image search degloving. Sometimes I just do that mindlessly, like talking about something, I'm typing it in. Be careful with such things. Don't Google image search degloving. Don't do that. What can I say? That's our housekeeping here. Welcome to the show. Don't click it twice. Reese's vid is trolling in the chat. Don't click the like button twice. That doesn't mean that you like it twice as much. That's not what's happening when you click twice on the like button, okay? I need to inform you because there's misinformation in the chat. If you click the like button twice, you are not double liking my show. You are not liking my show twice much more, okay? You are, in fact, unliking my show. You are liking it and then unliking it. So don't listen to the misinformation in the chat, okay? Don't be rude. Okay, what else here? What else? Welcome to the show, everybody. I say we jump right in here. There's super chats to get to and all that. We'll get to all that. All my generous donations and all that. But what can I say? I mean, this trip to the Middle East is a little bit interesting to me. You got Trump, Donald Trump, right? And they're saying he's focusing on business deals on his Middle East trip, okay? And they're saying it's the first significant international trip the president has taken in his first term. I mean, the second term here. And the media has their language about it all. You know, I'm always wary about it. They have their meetings and all that, but they call this deal making as opposed to diplomacy. The articles I read about this, they describe Trump as attempting to just make economic deals and leave the diplomacy for later. You know, it's really just the way they color him in the articles, but I can't help but point it out. But so I don't know if they're wrong in a sense, but I get a sense that they're coloring Trump a certain way, that he's just making business deals right now, and peace, diplomacy, be darned, but I don't know where they're really coming from. I mean, the man is out there reportedly making deals concerning a number of things here: trade, energy, investment deals. It's not unlike a similar trip Trump took in his first term. He went out there, Saudi Arabia. Where do you go? He went out there to the Middle East, okay, basically, and he met with the Saudis. And what does the political world call them? The heads of the Gulf. The Gulf states. You know, they have different Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, whatever. All those countries with money in the Arab world with money, basically. And that they're not like totally Iranified, meaning they're willing to work with Trump in the United States, right? Those countries. So he's meeting with them, making deals, okay. And the deals, they're important, right? The announcements are like major investment deals. We're promising to invest lots of money into America, Mr. Trump. What an amazing trip. It's politics. You get it, right? Diplomacy, politics. You know, he went out and did this. Basically, what had happened? Trump had basically said something about the travel ban stuff. I forget the details, right? Because they called it a Muslim travel ban. And I don't know if the Republican world was saying, hey, guys, it's not a Muslim ban. Because I never really, I decoupled and degloved from the GOP, at least in some ways. You know, maybe in other ways, I'm just a sycophant, right? I can't help myself. I don't know any better. But in some ways, I've decoupled because I saw maybe out there in the world, in the right-wing world, GOP world, trying to soften what Trump did back in 2017, right? The travel ban. He signed an executive order, banned travel to the United States for 90 days from 7 predominantly Muslim countries. They called it, no, it's not a Muslim ban. It's not a Muslim ban. It's a travel ban. Yeah, you know what? It's a Muslim ban. I'm fine with it if it was, but I don't think it was. So I forget the details. The point is, I don't care. But back then, he basically does this. They're like, it's a Muslim ban. This guy's doing a Muslim ban. What's going on? And then he goes to Saudi Arabia and he meets with the Muslims and he starts making deals. So that's the kind of man he is, right? He was like, ban the Muslims from the country. And then he goes to their countries and he's like, let's make amazing deals. And they loved him. They welcome him, right? Because, I mean, we're talking about the president of the United States, right? Normalizing relations with the Gulf states and all that. Like, it matters to them. Whether America's the big Satan or not, America's also the big dollar. The big dollar. See, here's more of that color I was mentioning. In Mideast, Trump plans to focus on business deals, not geopolitics. Like, that's just my instincts. You know, I don't know if it's that deep, but I'm thinking the Main Street, the MSM, has decided on how to color Trump on this one. But anyway, so he's going there, and it's pretty interesting. But here's another interesting thing about it is Trump is not going. He's not going. Hold on, did I just close? Don't you hate it when you close your tabs? what's got Jerusalem Post and others a little bit, scratching their heads, wondering what's next. Is Trump not going to Israel? He's going to Middle East. He's meeting with the Gulf, right? The ones I mentioned, the Arabs, etc. And not with Israel. And it's got some people wondering and thinking. I mean, I'm just reading all the news, right? Axios, the scam, CNN. They all have something to say about it. Trump not going to Israel. Da da da. Okay. I'm like, okay. It kind of starts making sense, though. You see, as you know, there's war going around. There's war happening. And it's pretty nasty stuff. As war goes, it just escalates and gets worse. And we're talking about nuclear powers here, and we're talking about allied nations who can bring in all sorts of other nations, turning it into a much bigger conflagration, as these war people like to say. So you understand the problem. So he's not going there and meeting with the Arabs. The idea is, well, is he going to work? Is he going to work towards this peace deal? Is he going to work towards any? You've heard the Trump administration say they want peace. They want an end to Ukraine. I can't quite remember any stated goals, but I'm almost positive they also stated goals. At the very least, they stated the goal to a desire for a ceasefire. A desire for, I remember when Trump even said it has to end. It has to end. So I think I'm confident in saying they want that as well in the Israel region. They'd want that war to end as well. That's my thinking on it, and the thinking is, will he work towards that and all that? We'll see. It's quite interesting, though. This all becomes quite interesting because basically last week, over the weekend, a couple of fascinating developments has come about. So let me get into it. The first is, like I already mentioned, they're calling it a snub to Israel. I'm just reporting it, what they're saying, right? They all have something to say about it, but they're calling it a snub. I don't know. He's not going to Israel, and so that's means something, right? Now the Houthis deal. This one's interesting too. You're familiar with the Houthis, maybe. But they are now designated as a foreign terrorist organization thanks to a executive order back in January with Trump. And so that happened back in January. You get to, where is it? You get to May 6th? You get to May 6th, okay? Just last week. And Trump signed, where was I? May 6th, right here. President Trump announced an immediate, this is Atlantic, CNN, an immediate halt to U.S. airstrikes following a ceasefire agreement brokered by Oman. Under this deal, the Houthis agreed to cease attacks on American vessels. Now, this, if you're not familiar, what went down is this group of rebels, or whatever you want to call them. I guess we could call them foreign terrorist organization, right, Mr. Trump? They are an arm of, put it, an armed force that is ideologically for the Palestinians, and they're for the recognition of a Palestinian state. They're against Israel's actions in the region, etc. All that. They're a bit of an agitating force, and they're basically been causing chaos at the Suez, it's a center of trade, right? It's a center of trade. I believe the Suez Canal, right where Egypt is, the Suez Canal. It's a huge center of trade. You may have heard on the show or otherwise how a very large amount of container ships, ocean freighters that move around the world's goods, have taken routes that avoid this region due to the chaos from the Houthis. So Trump has been working hard to broker peace deals, etc., with all these various groups for peace, for greater stability. Something that experts say is going to be difficult. He's threading a sort of needle here. every side has their all the sides have their conditions, and they've all said things that they will just refuse to concede on, right? And so it gets a little tricky. So that's the Houthis. Now, the significance with the Houthis is that Trump went and did that with them. The significant part of it is basically leaving Israel out of the negotiations. I want to get this right. I have all my reporting here all jumbled together if you give me a second here. But on the thing with the Houthis, they were essentially left out of the negotiations, okay? Yes, here it is. The ceasefire has elicited mixed reactions. It's welcomed by some international actors. Israeli officials expressed concern over being excluded from the agreement, especially given ongoing Houthi threats against Israel. Iran, a known supporter of the Houthis, reportedly played a role in facilitating the ceasefire, possibly to advance broader diplomatic engagements with the U.S. So it gets a little tricky in that, right. So what you're seeing here is Trump making these peace deals with these people, but Israel was left out. And I'm seeing just in the news how everyone has something to say about it. So that was the second thing. That was the interesting about the recent developments with all that. Trump and the Houthi deal. Third, the hostage. Okay, you may have heard of this hostage that was released. His name is Eden Alexander, okay? And the thing about Eden is he's an Israeli American. Trump has announced that they worked with the story basically goes as he worked with Hamas on this one. Again, reportedly Israel being kind of left out of it. Okay? So Israel was largely, here it is, excluded from the direct negotiations that led to the release of Eden Alexander, the last known living American hostage held by Hamas. The talks were primarily conducted between the United States and Hamas, with mediation and support from Qatar and Egypt. Israeli officials were informed of the release but did not participate directly in the discussions. Again, going around, what happened? What happened between them? Netanyahu and Trump? Could something have happened? Now, I forget if I mentioned this on my show last week, but this becomes interesting and important with all the mess of the last few weeks. The Signal chat, Mike Waltz, and the internal struggle that has been described, and we've seen evidence of this internal struggle within the Trump administration over what they're going to do with Iran. We're getting reports. There's a lot of pressure to do like preemptive or proactive strikes against Iran's nuclear facilities, right? Of course, you know what that means. That's a huge escalation. We just don't know what that might turn into. And the other side is no. There's still a chance for diplomacy and many other things well before any bombings and wars, etc. And we saw some of that. We saw some evidence for that. Concerning first Mike Waltz. See, the controversy with Mike Waltz, former U.S. National Security Advisor under Donald Trump, started with that Signal chat thing. March 2025, Waltz created a group chat on the encrypted messaging app Signal to coordinate U.S. military operations, okay? Inadvertently, the story is he inadvertently added this Jeffrey Goldberg, editor-in-chief of The Atlantic. This makes a huge story. Huge pressure comes down on Pete Hegseth, Trump's pick, to resign, basically. Security concerns, etc. May 1st, 2025, Trump removed Waltz from his role as National Security Advisor, citing the cumulative effect of the Signal chat leak and other security lapses. Waltz was nominated to serve as the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. But there was another thing about that, about his dismissal. and it was the wild news of these there was these stories that were going around just last week, if you remember. They were seemingly just popping up. I'm trying to pull up all my notes, but there's just nothing loading on this thing. Can we just give me just 1 second, folks, please? Refresh. Come on, guys. Come on, laptop. Come on, buddy. You can do it. Am I still even live? Why did everything just stop loading? I need this right now. I need you to load. Come on, buddy. Why are you having trouble? Let's try that again. Folks, not sure what's happening here. Nothing is loading. What, did I lose internet connection? Lord. So, okay, if I'm still live, hopefully, you know, it's crazy. It's literally crazy. Is some kind of intelligence agency coming down on me? It's actually crazy. Like it's wild how the internet just. Okay, so the story basically, hopefully I'm still live. That Mike Waltz, the leaks and all that were due to him working closely with Netanyahu. Okay, and that was coming down from the Times of Israel, the Jerusalem Post. There was coordination between Mike Waltz and Benjamin Netanyahu, essentially. And, you know, we could leave it at that. Moving on here. Look, I'm a little thrown off here. I needed that. I needed the internet here. Whatever. Look, the point is. Let's move it on here. The point is that I'm looking at all this, and it's true. It's true. It's basically true. Nations care for themselves, and it's a big chessboard of nations fighting each other. And yeah, these nations are in each other's nations, and they're warring. It's war. It's an information war before guns and all that. It's basically war. And it's all real. Foreign actors. You wonder why so many things happen in America. Maybe some don't wonder, but you start paying attention. You're like, wait. Why can't you close the border? What do you mean? Why can't you just do this? Why can't you just do that? Because the government is full of enemies. And I can only say that crudely in my ignorance, right? And the enemies, to me, seem to take on multiple identities and races and religions. But that's because America is being pilfered by everybody. Including some of the nations that are not happy with Trump's actions here. You understand? So it's a fascinating thing. It's just a little bit looking at it from afar. You have bad actors in the government. The enemy really is within. So I thought it was a little bit interesting because maybe over the last bit you've heard this or that about Trump, Iran, etc. And it's like, so I was live through all that. Live through all that. Good. It looks like you guys are back here. Thank you. All I'm trying to say now is it seems where was I? What was I just saying? Look, the point is it's a fight, okay? It's not over. It's a fight. It's an ongoing thing. The borders are nebulous. You know, they say this or that group has total control of America in this way. It's an ongoing thing. It's nebulous, and I don't know. It seems like Trump keeps on proving to me that he is doing his best in trying to represent America, right? You know, it seems like is getting pushed around by some of the Israeli officials, and he's like done with it, right? Those are the reports. And then there's this other report coming out, right? They're saying that Trump's going to recognize Palestine as a U.S. state. Now, I don't know, but it's clear that there's that Trump is. It seems to me like Trump isn't happy with certain deals and certain things, and this is him attempting to make it happen. We'll keep watching. What can I say? I'll just keep watching. That was just a bit of the news for you. He made the deal with the Houthis, is going to the Middle East. There's speculation as to what it all means, why he's not going to Israel, etc. The stories and rumors of a decoupling with some policies with Israel. It's like, wow, could it be? Trump really is America first. I don't know. We'll keep watching, right? That's the news. But all sorts, yeah, that's it. Let's just move on. That's it. We'll see what happens with all that. If Trump recognizes Palestine as a state, that'd be kind of hilarious in some way. And if he were to do that, it would be for no other reason than he saw that it was necessary. Okay, you know what? We'll work with you, Israel, Jews, whatever. We'll work with you. You guys want this. We want this. Let's make it happen. And then somewhere along the way, you're like, okay, it's not working for us. We're going to operate like this now. So let the man do his deals, do his thing. I support him. You know that. I'm trying to move on. Trump, Netanyahu, Israel, whatever. War. Moving on. 888-775-3773. Am I race obsessed, chat? Do you guys think I'm a race obsessed? Huh? Would you guys describe the anchor baby like that? Race obsessed? I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't call myself that. I'm willing to hear y'all. I'm willing to hear about myself, something I don't know. I don't think I'm race obsessed. What do you think? I wouldn't call myself obsessed about race. I'd say the world is obsessed. And they've been hiding it. And they've been big time hiding it. Because I don't know about you guys. I grew up in America and Canada, right? I grew up in these countries as an anchor baby. And in the world I grew up in, that doesn't matter, okay? It's about what's inside. What can you do? What are you really, as opposed to what you look like, right? That's how I grew up, for real. I wouldn't call myself race obsessed. I'd say there's even data saying the other racial groups are race obsessed. And that's the thing that's been getting me, right? Because I'm not personally race obsessed. It's just I grew up in this world, right, where you got rules. You know, them's were the rules. Like, that's not what we care about. And I can't help but constantly notice that it's everybody else breaking the rules. I'm not race obsessed. It turns out everybody else sees color all the time. I just want to see excellence. But these people care about color big time, okay? There's this guy on, I forget if he's Babylon Bee or if he's Breitbart, but this guy's name is Joel Berry. And he's been going off on the right wing recently. He's been using words like woke right. Basically, the story goes like this. If you're a white person on the right wing, on the right, and now you're all of a sudden saying, hey, we're supporting Shiloh Hendricks. You could say the N-word because she's white and she shouldn't be whatever. Or whatever. Joel Berry and others have been looking upon the right wing and telling them, hey guys, you guys are getting a little too obsessed with race. Okay? You guys are supporting, now I forget what Joel Berry said about Shiloh Hendricks, but anybody out there using this woke right terminology, that's what they've been saying about the right. You guys are basically just the left. Woke, it's like, let's just cancel them. You guys were against cancel culture, but now if someone says, you guys want to cancel culture Carmelo Anthony because, I'm trying to give you a good example of how they're using woke right, but essentially they're trying to put that on the right and the white people. Should they say deport deport all these people, get them out of here? Now it's like, oh, you're the woke right. You're just using identity politics against the immigrants. And so you're seeing a bunch of that, okay? Joel Berry is saying race obsession is a mental illness. And there was a whole bunch of people who reposted this under Joel Berry's post, trying to inform him that every other race is race obsessed. This is a bit old. You know, I've seen this posted for years now. And you got to understand, this little graph you're looking at is a little bit old. I wouldn't say that it's far from still being like this, though, if you ask me. But in this survey that has gotten attention over the years, different racial groups were asked about how they rate each other. When you ask the white respondents, they pretty much see all the races the same. Straight up. Pretty darn closely the same. And it looks like they see themselves just a little bit. Ooh, the white supremacists, here they are, supremely looking at themselves as the supreme. Turns out every race does that, but on a crazier level. If you're a Hispanic, you see the whites, the blacks, and the Asians as a lot less than you. That's the Hispanics over here, this dot over here. If you're black, you see whites, Hispanics, and Asians as a lot less than you. That's the black dot right there. That's how the blacks view themselves. The craziest disparity is amongst the blacks. Asian respondents, they too have a similar ranking in their, even if it's implicit. Don't they call it implicit? It's implicit bias, you know? They don't even know they're doing it. They see whites, blacks, and Hispanics as less, whatever they call rating each other in this survey. They call it mean ratings, but whatever. So that's the race obsessed people, if you ask me, right? And so yeah, I grew up in this America. I can't help but see that they're all seeing color. Okay? They're all seeing color, and they see color, right? They see color, they hate the color, they hate the white, they hate the other color. And they're getting positions of power. They're becoming jurors. They're becoming all sorts of things, you understand? And there's just something that does not make sense. And it has nothing to do with hatred or anything. There's just something that does not make sense about giving positions of power, etc., to people that hate you. Now, there's this report that was going around on X, going viral. People are sharing this a bunch. And it concerns data from the Ministry of Justice. Hold on, let me pull this up. Ministry of Justice, hold on. So this Ministry of Justice, basically, government social research, hold on. Put together some data, and this goes back to 2007, and it has to do regarding diversity and fairness in the jury system, right? Judged by a jury of your peers. That's how it is in America. Innocent till proven guilty. This Ministry of Justice put together fascinating data, a research series on jurors and when they chose a guilty vote and what the race of the defendant was. Okay, so in this research, this graph is being shared on the internet right now. It's what's going viral. And this graph, like I said, draws from the data that I just mentioned, from this Diversity and Fairness in the Jury System report. Ministry of Justice research series. So this is going around, and what this graph is showing is the comparison of a guilty vote depending on if the juror is white or a BME, which is, what does that mean? Black and minority ethnic, okay? So here on the left, you see if a white defendant is guilty. So when do jurors find white defendants guilty? Well, if it's a white juror, 39% of the time. If it's a black and minority ethnic juror, 73% of the time, they'll find them guilty. Big disparity between the two. We're talking huge difference between the two. We're such a big difference that one would give you a totally different decision than the other. You understand? Now, when it comes to black minority and ethnic defendants and the rate that they're found guilty, you find that white jurors there's not too much of a difference between how a white juror finds a white defendant or a BME defendant. 39% white jurors will find the white defendant guilty, and it's actually lower for a BME defendant. They're more likely to find them not guilty, these white jurors. But when it comes to a black, minority, and ethnic juror, look at this discrepancy. If it's a white defendant, we're talking, what do you call this in statistics? What point difference is this? It's big, okay? It's major. It's major enough, in fact, that it makes these jurors useless. This is like life and death scenarios. And this is not just a tiny bit of bias. This is, if I'm reading this data correctly, if I'm understanding what I'm seeing this correctly, this is a crazy swing depending on the skin color. And that's not from white people. That makes you have like non-white jurors, you have a useless jury. Like, it's just not trustworthy. If you're swinging that much, you understand? Wait, are you understanding, Chad? Hold on. Are you guys lost? Do you understand? So, yeah, I don't want any black jurors. I don't want any BME jurors ever. Be like, I'm not going to get a fair shake. The data proves it. I just found that a fascinating little thing, by the way. That discrepancy in the juror stuff. I know it's a little thing, maybe, but it speaks to an untenable situation, honestly, with race in America. So what else can you say about that? Did you see that report coming out of Chicago, Illinois? The internet is kind of up in arms about this one. And I've yet to see any development on this. I just don't know. But this got posted online on X, and everybody's like, we need to call this person's place of employment. We need to file reports. I imagine the internet did, because this has 10.5 million views. And who knows, maybe this is already being dealt with in a sense. Who knows? Was this person joking? I'll let you decide. But Boyce Lee, here on her own social media, posted some concerning things. She says she's a registered nurse, associate of science and nursing at Prairie State College, lives in Chicago, Illinois, studied a certified nursing assistant and patient care. She's apparently employed. And now I don't know if she's joking or she's messing around, but here she is. This is what got everybody's attention. Wow. All of you clear specimens are, now I don't know what this is in response to. It looks like she had commented on something. It's not clear what it is, but Boyce, a nurse practitioner, etc., is commenting here saying, wow, all of you clear specimens are excited. Just know I randomly off your kind regularly in the hospital. Simple problem solved. Enjoy. Just, angry, evil, nasty person on the internet maybe didn't mean it, but we can't trust that, right? We can't trust that. The nurse saying, I off you, you're kind. Clear specimens, as she puts it. A clear specimen. And by the way, this comment, this clear specimens comment, let's see, I was trying to see how many likes it got, but it's unclear if it got a lot of attention. Like positive attention. Oh, look at that. Huh. Looks like something did happen. GoFundMe, empower a black woman facing a job loss. Hold up. She admitted to at least the desire to kill white people as a nurse. And if this give, send, go is true, she may have lost her job or is facing job loss and is asking the public for donations after admitting on social media. Possibly. I'm trying to find this GoFundMe and see if it's true. Empower a black woman facing job loss. GoFundMe. We are trying to find the GoFundMe. Empowering Kelaya. Oh, my. Oh, life came at you fast, Kelaya. Life came at you fast. It looks like this is not the one. That's not the one. That was something else. Yeah, I don't even know if that's a real GoFundMe. Empower a black woman facing job loss. I really want to find this. I really want to find this. Oh, man. Boyce Lee. Yeah, hold up. Are they trolling? This person didn't even set one up. We're doing this live. GoFundMe, Boyce Lee. So I don't know if this is true, folks, but hey, on XP, someone posted this in response to this story. They said, no way she started a GoFundMe after admitting to murder. I was unable to find it on GoFundMe, so this may not exist, but it says Boyce Lee organizing this fundraiser as a black woman facing the risk of losing my job. I'm in a place where I have to humble myself and ask for help. This isn't easy, but I know I'm not alone. We go through so much and we still rise. As a people, I believe in our strength, our resilience, and in the power of standing together as people of color. If we're able to support even a little, it means more than you know. So I don't know. It might be true. She may be facing job loss, but can you blame people calling this in? I randomly off your kind regularly in the hospital. Yeah. That's not uncommon, actually. I was just watching this thing on nurses, serial killer nurses. You know, angry women with vulnerable old people. But anyways, what can I say? I just wanted to bring this up about race obsession and the people that see race. And those that don't. I mean, I'm not asking whites to get angry. See race, it's time to get angry. I'd hate to see that too. I'd hate to see them turn into those that hate them. Like I grew up in this world, in this America, in this Canada that taught me, right? It's about what's within. What can I say? And we're quickly losing it. You understand? Because these people just don't think like that. I don't know if they didn't grow up here or what it is. I don't know if it's just the way of the world. But they're in Congress. You remember this guy, Tanedar? This guy who barely can even speak English, this Sri Tanedar guy, is somehow a U.S. representative at a Michigan's 13th congressional district. Somehow this guy, Sri Tanedar, is a U.S. representative. And she, honestly, in my America, would be disqualified and removed from such a position just on his accent alone. And you could call me ridiculous, but it's really not. I'm not just like, that's not an emotional argument. I hate your accent. You're not, no. It denotes many things, you understand? It's someone that really doesn't care about assimilating. Someone who's, someone who's been here years and years, and you still can barely be understandable. Like, how is that supposed to represent an American government? It just doesn't make any logical sense. You understand? It's not an emotional argument at all. Because I know that those people, when they can barely speak English and they're bringing out impeachment articles against Trump for what? For daring to, uphold the law, deport illegals. He says, we got to have an impeachment against this guy. See, the thing is, I know these people, and those people think that America is a place of, right, that it was created out of like colonialists. These colonialists stole and took stuff. That's how these people think. I know that. So it's really not an emotional argument. When I hear that accent, in my America, this person would be disqualifying, would not be any kind of, would not be in the government at all. Because he's not, simply due to being an anchor baby, due to not having parents from the original stock here. I don't think that's a bad thing to say. And I don't think I think you could be an amazing citizen and a stand-up person without having this right. It's this so-called right or whatever. Like, I should be allowed to run for politics? No. And so I already know these people. You understand? I already know these people. And so it's funny that this comes out. This Sri Thanedar's clip is coming out. And I believe it's an older one. This is your representative. This is your Michigan congressman from India. Let me show you. And how quickly, when you just simply scratch the surface, how quickly they reveal their true intentions. Now, let's unmute this. Hold on.
Our diversity.
Aha. So here's Sri Thanedar. Check out this old video I found, says Harrison Smith here on X. America is becoming less white. And that's what Sri Thanedar speaks on. Watch this.
And
diversity.
America is becoming more diverse. America is, celebrating our diversity. And our diversity is our strength. And we are seeing that diversity in academia. We have seen that in businesses. And now we are seeing that in politics. And which is really important. That we focus on and celebrate our diversity because it is the diversity that has made this America as great a country as it is. America is becoming more diverse.
You see this?
America is...
This is a robot, man. You hear this gray goo speech. This like gray gooified speech. So this person is made up of nanobots. This is not a real person. This person is just a collection of nanobots, a hive mind, saying we are celebrating our diversity. You hear those kinds of things? We are celebrating our diversity. Diversity is our strength. This is not a real person. That's not a real person. That's just a collection of sayings through the avatar of an Indian man. Like it's really ridiculous. These are all like made up things of the modern age. We're celebrating our diversity. Like when? Like when was America celebrating the diversity in the way you're describing, Shri? The last 10, 20 years? Like, you understand? This is ridiculous. It's all just like made up things. That's not a real person talking. We're celebrating it. Just talking points, right? Just like uploaded. Whatever was uploaded to him. Okay, that's what we say now. We're celebrating our diversity. Now you're attempting to make us celebrate this. It's like because we have to. Because you just have to. Nobody wants to. So it's crazy. It's actually crazy. This person's a congressman. This person's a representative in the government. Like in it. Crazy. So anyways,
our diversity.
Moving on from all that. I think we can move on from all that. I mean, like, you get the point. I had this too. Thought I might as well mention it. But you get the point right now. She wanted to freeze her eggs. She passed a law to make it accessible. The bill, sponsored by Prince George's County's council member Wanika B. Fisher, targets the difficulties of women of color face in receiving affordable reproductive care. Just like blatant, right? Just blatantly saying, hey, I'm making this law for me. Is that a first in America, or is that just me? Has that ever happened before? Have you had in this case, she's a county council member who I guess in this county has the rights to sponsor bills, as it's Washington Post here is saying. Is that a first where you have like a lawmaker, or at least a quasi lawmaker, say, hey, I'm making a law for me. I'm in the government doing this for me. Isn't that some sort of insider? Don't they have laws against that? Isn't that like what do they call that? Like something, like if you had advanced knowledge of some government stuff and then you traded stocks with, they call that insider trading. If you have like a biased interest in making a law for you and you go into the government, that's something akin to that, right? No? Something's wrong about that. You see what I'm saying? So this is like insider trading, but, with making laws. So I'm wondering, is that a first? Has anybody ever heard about something like this happening? Because if so, the only reason this is a first and maybe ignored is because she's a black woman. Just blatantly going into the government and making laws for me. It's like I'm like Apple. Like I own Apple and I go into the government and I make laws so that my company does better. Which I know happens, by the way. It's called lobbying, et cetera, da, da, da. So I'm not being obtuse about that. It's just take it in. Let's skip let's skip the whole rigmarole. Why even pretend? Why pretend? Really, blacks are innovative. Blacks are innovative in their evil. Like Jasmine Crockett, she's a special one. I really do believe that she knows what she's doing. She knows she's planned out what would be the most viral thing to make people mad and brainwash blacks into just voting for her and being on her side, right? Oh, you're being oppressed. This or that is happening to you. I really think what it is these blacks in the government are quite innovative when you think about it. Because the Democrats for a long time, using race and all that to agitate and accuse the other side, they've been doing it for a long time. But nobody does it quite like the blacks in the government. Just on the nose. What did she say the other day? Oh, they hate the diversity stuff because they know that we can do it. Like we outscore them. We outdo them in whatever metrics and stuff she was saying. Just lying, just straight up lying to a crowd of black people saying Trump and these Trumpers and MAGA people, when they go against DEI, it's because they're scared. Yeah. It's like just straight up lying and lying about white people. Just blatant, right? That's what I mean by innovative. Democrats wish, there's so many Democrats, they wish they could do it like that, but nobody's got quite the stones like some of these black women, etc., in the politics. They are innovative in their evil. And where was I with that? Yeah. So she is being. Let's skip that lobbying. Let me just make the law myself. She wanted to freeze her eggs. She passed a law to make it accessible. Washington Post gloating about it and loving it. Staring at the degrees and certificates that decorate her suburban Maryland office, Prince George's County Council member Wanika B. Fisher pondered the sacrifices she made to become a public servant. I just get sad that maybe I put all of this stuff on the walls and all the service maybe before having a kid. 36-year-old Democrat who represents Prince George's here. And that's hard. Marriage and children have been on the back burner for Fisher as she pursued her political ambitions. Nobody made you do that. So egg freezing seemed like a reasonable option until she learned she couldn't afford what can be an expensive process for many women. So she goes into the government. She works hard. She works hard to get certificates. Look at her. She gets certificates and diplomas and blah, blah, blah. Works in the government, gets to 36 and wonders, did I do something here? Let me go freeze my eggs. Turns out freezing your eggs is expensive, too expensive for her, apparently. And the article continues, the realization that her county health insurance would not cover the $10,000 to $15,000 it typically costs for a single cycle to freeze one's eggs. It moved Fisher to sponsor a recently passed law that offers such coverage to Prince George's nearly 11,000 employees. Almost 2,500 of them are women. The law and the unanimous support it received when it passed last month, including the Fisher's ideological foes, signaled a change in the once socially conservative and now deep blue county's attitudes towards women's reproductive choices. Well, yeah, because you got people like B. Fisher, like Juanica, with they literally do not care about rule of law. They do not care. They do not care about due process, what's fair. You have to understand this. They do not care. Not even a little bit. This woman wasn't able to pay for this and was like, well, I'm in the government. I can change this. Brazen. It's incredible. So anyways, in vitro fertilization, blah, blah, blah. A bill like the one led by Fisher's is why more women across age, race, and income level need to be in office, said Debbie Walsh, so that they can continue destroying all semblance of laws and order in the country. Here is a woman who is now serving and suddenly realizes that these institutions are not prepared for her to be there. That's for sure. So basically, it's a hostage situation, and these people know it. The immigrants, the receivers of benefits, the receivers of all sorts of welfare, etc. It's a stick-up, and they know it. So let's stop pretending otherwise. It is a stick-up, and they know it. And they push it, and they know it. They know it's a stick-up. And they laughing about it. No mas, right? No mas. Let's move on here. I guess. 888-775-3773. I do want to get to my calls here and super chats and all that. I think that's it with all that, right? We're kind of going off the cuff at the last bit there, so let us move on, okay? I want to show some love to the calls here. We got Rick out of Hampton, Virginia. Sir, you're on the air. Appreciate your call.
My brother, Nick, thanks for taking my call, my brother. Appreciate
Of course. No problem at all, Rick. Go ahead.
You know, with this dating stuff, man, when it comes to dating, a lot of people don't realize black women are the least desired to date because of the neck snapping, the combativeness. And then you have black women saying, well, not all, but most. You know, like, if you see, I can guarantee you Jasmine Crockett is not married. I can just about guarantee she's not married. I mean, could you be married to that man?
Oh,
now,
man.
I've been trying to
but
be
people
a boss
do it.
chick.
Yeah.
Look at even CNN. Most of those black women on there, they just get to sucking their lips, man. And I mean,
yeah.
And they wonder why men are going to other countries to meet wives. But that don't guarantee you can get a good one over there either, though. But it's just the bottom line is they understand what a wife's supposed to do. So I think the last statistic I checked, it was Asian women were number 1, Hispanic women were number 2, white women were 3, and blacks were last.
Wow. In terms of how desirable they are as wives.
Yeah, the desire to date, like, okay,
right.
We'd rather date the Asian women because they're more submissive. But a lot of times,
makes sense, man.
Call that,
that's just perception, in my opinion.
What's that, Nick?
I was thinking that's just perception, but the perception clearly matters for something because they're picking their partners, right? But that's essentially. I see that too, man. No, I'm just adding to what you're saying because think about it. Like I saw this thing the other day, and it was this post about how so many men are opting out of dating. That there was this statistic that just like last year, something like that, the percentage of married adults by age 30 in America is something like 20-something% for women and like less than 14% for men. And that when 50 years ago, by age 30, like something like above, like over 60% of Americans were getting married by age 30. It's plummeted way down. And I saw all sorts of people asking, yeah, what's happening to the men? What's going on with men? Blah, blah, blah. And I found that conversation so interesting because if you just look at the women, I think it becomes quite clear. It becomes quite obvious why.
Absolutely.
It becomes quite obvious why it's across the board. And then when you get to black women, you see it becomes quite clear. It's their behavior.
And you see,
they're obstinate, difficult. They want to fight. They don't fight. They were difficult. All that. They want to start social medias. They want to start TikToks. They want to start TikToks, and then they fight you when you tell them, "Hey, stop getting all this online attention."
Yes, they come. I mean, we don't care about all that twerking and stuff, man. Men don't want that. Men want to know once they marry you, can you handle the household? Can you manage the bank accounts? Can you be a good example to our kids? We want your beauty, and we want you to be able to have children. That's all men ask for. We don't ask for you to bring anything to the table because that's what the feminist movement did now, you know. And on the feminist movement, liberal women, and if I had to pick between a true conservative woman and a liberal woman, it's hands down a conservative.
Right.
You know, it just, to me, liberals and the Democratic Party, they're godless. I don't care how much they say to go to church, but yet when you deal with the liberals and the Democratic Party, everything God loves, the Democrat hates. Everything God hates, the Democratic Party loves, and the liberals.
Fair enough. I was trying to find info if Jasmine Crockett was married, but it's looking like there's no info on that. Doesn't seem like she is married. So as far as we're concerned, she's not.
Exactly.
But I just wanted to see if we could find this.
Look at it.
If she was married, I would have liked to see and who that individual would be. But I think you might be right about that, Rick.
Man,
unmarried, and are we surprised?
One woman. I'm not surprised by that, and that snapping attitude. I know she didn't come from that. I know her dad can't be proud of that. I guess she thinks she's a civil rights pioneer.
Right. I think that's true, Rick. I honestly think that's true. She thinks she knows what she's doing. And she's learned or trained or been trained correctly in how to agitate in the way she's doing it.
You know what? And I'm glad people are starting to see through that there, Nick. It's not even about she just said a lot of stuff, even about slaves. She can come say that they kidnap our ancestors. No, they didn't. Africa was slave trading. Well, matter of fact, they was one of the first slave traders.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and even the Europeans tried to stop Africa from slave trading, but they don't hit none of that here in America. See, the public schools. Well, see, the black vote. It's like a guaranteed job for liberal politicians. You know, that's why they do so hard to go after the blacks so much, to keep them aggravated, thinking they can't do nothing unless they get Congress to pass laws for us. But yet, I'm an HVAC guy by trade, and I tell you, you do good work and love people, man. Work will chase you. Success will chase you when you stay rooted up in God, man.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm a witness to that.
And it's still going well for you.
Yes, absolutely. And you can have a trade, and now the public schools, they push college so hard. They have these kids taking all these courses to get a high diploma, but yet they can't use none of those classes in college. They're not going to take them for credit. They still got to pay.
Fair enough. Well, Rick, it's working out, right? But
yes, sir.
I forgot what I was going to ask you there, Rick. Honestly, I forgot.
Oh, okay.
But I appreciate your commentary on this.
There, Brother Nick.
No problem at all. Appreciate your commentary on this. It's a mess, man. I don't know if people really see that. Of course, go ahead.
Hey, Nick. Yes, and women getting their eggs frozen. When women get their eggs frozen, most times them women gonna die. Yeah, you know what the lady just had on top. She gonna get her eggs frozen. That already tell you she's a single woman, and she gonna die with one of them ankle biting dogs.
Oh man. Well, yeah, in the story, seemingly she had focused on her career and decided to put all that time in there, and then and then felt like it was her right or something that she should get her eggs frozen, but just couldn't pay for it. So I guess now the public has to pay for it. I don't know the details of the law that is being passed and all that exactly, but if she's not paying for it, somebody else is, right? And she's in the government, so it's like,
that's right.
Let me get. I didn't get that.
It's gonna be somebody in the government.
Yeah, no, this woman is in the government. This Juanica B. Fisher, the one sponsoring the bill, is in the government herself. So I'm sure somebody else has to pay for these frozen eggs now.
Women eggs?
Exactly.
Now you know what?
Exactly.
I'm like this. Okay, I'm for women. If women want to freeze their eggs, they need to go work overtime or see if they can use their health insurance. That should not be taxpayers' burden.
Right. I mean, she worked for it too.
Know,
where'd all that money go? All that career in and all that?
You know, it's so funny. And, you know, one thing women trying to evaluate, you know, men and women are evaluated differently, Nick. And I'm going to be off. I ain't going to take up too much of your time. But
what do you mean by that?
Men and women are evaluated differently. What I mean by that, men, when we evaluate women, we look for their youth, their beauty.
Oh, how we evaluate each other.
Able to how we evaluate women. Most men do.
Okay.
And see, women try to evaluate us the same way. But see, we get desired more. As we get older and established, we are more desired. Women are more desired in their youth. When women are younger, that's when they more desired. Don't get me wrong. There are some good-looking 50 and 60-year-old women, but at the same time, women's sexual value drops. Yes, sir.
I'm messing with you. Go, keep going. The values?
Yeah. And women's sexual value drops as they get older.
I've heard that.
Women get older, their dating value, not to say they've not worth a person.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean in how we view each other.
Right.
Absolutely.
And men, we are valued as we get older and more established.
Fair enough, Rick. I've heard that too.
You know. Yeah, and see, when women try to evaluate us like we do them, it don't work because we are more desired as we get older.
Yeah, and I see what you're saying, Rick. Yeah, it's a bit of an instinct being drilled into the women too lately to look at the man and justify what you do because the man does it, but it's the wrong way. You shouldn't even if we were exactly the same or whatever. It's definitely the wrong mindset because you're letting go of all self-responsibility. You're never going to improve or get better at anything with that. So I see what you're saying, Rick.
Right on.
I appreciate your commentary on this, Rick.
Time, man, but thanks for taking my call, Nick. Love you, brother.
Call me again. For sure. Call me again, Rick. 888-775-3773. Yeah. You know, isn't Rick describing the relationships of man and woman? Call it what? Let me use a term here, in the fallen state, so to speak. That's what the people do, right? The milieu. I don't know if that's a fantasy in my mind. When I hear Jesse talk about life and people, there seems to be an enlightened way, right? Where you overcome all these things, all the limitations of what the world taught us of how men and women are supposed to be, right? You heard Jesse talk about it. Probably was it Sunday? Women, you're responsible for you. Like you are responsible for your hell that you're going through. Now you come together with a man, and it's like, okay, what car to buy, how much your mother-in-law should back off, where your children are gonna go, and what discipline will be like. Yeah, the man leads, right? Those things. But what am I rambling about? Just relationships, because Rick brought it up. Can we overcome the limitations of how mere people do it. Here at Bond, right, we're trying to do something different. Trying to be different people, individuals. So I just don't like hearing the classics like, I'm just a man, I'm just a woman, I'm just this, I'm just excuses, right? I'm just a little woman. Anyways, I'm just rambling now. I got calls coming in, super chats. What was I talking about? Look, let me move on. Let's do calls. We got calls coming in. So as they're coming in, I want to mention these super chats. I appreciate all the support, everybody. Thank you so much. We got It's Me, and I know who that is. That's Liesel. Thank you so much. Very generous. Look at that. Super generous from It's Me, and I appreciate all the coffees on buymeacoffee.com/anchorbaby. She says, Dear Mr. G, I and Mark and Harmony and Cameron and the rest of those who love and appreciate you wish you all the best on your special day. Thanks for letting us cut up in class. Hey, appreciate this message. Is this early? Should I wait? Should I wait on this message, Liesel? I'll read this one out tomorrow again, huh? How about that? I'll read this one out tomorrow again since it's for my special day. I'll read this one out tomorrow, okay? Special day tomorrow. Shout out. But thanks for the generous coffee there. It's actually an insane amount of coffees when you think. If you were to count these coffees up, the coffees would be more than all the surface I have in this very room. That's for sure. Pinocchio, thank you for the coffees, the super chats here. Appreciate that. That's we got a few here, I believe, from today. Hold on. This is Kale Samogi. I believe I didn't read this one. Christ will come back and end it all. We might have been talking about war. Thank you, Kale. Appreciate the super chats. Kale also asks, when are we getting a black pope? Maybe sooner than you think. Give it a few popes. We got some Rumble rants, amazing Rumble rants over here on rumble.com/American Anchor Baby. They're stretching their legs, enjoying their space here on Rumble. But Base Nation with a very generous donation, man. Thank you so much. Says Dollar Baby. Thanks for being a supporter on Rumble. DJT 2020 with a Rumble rant. Says Anger Baby stabbing himself. I'm stabbing myself? That's me doing that? So why don't I just stop? Thank you, DJT 2020. Appreciate all the support, everybody. Amazing super chats and donations and all that. So thank you again for all the support, as always. Let me get to some amazing calls. We got Maze out of Dayton, Ohio. How you doing, Maze? You're on the air.
Hello, Nick.
Hello, Maze.
Been a black pope.
Huh?
They've had a black pope.
They had a black pope, really?
Yes. I have to go through my book and find and I can tell you his name.
Who was the first black pope?
Huh?
Pope Victor the First? Possibly?
I have to go to make sure.
They're
and then I'll tell you
Google is calling him.
I'm not Googling. I don't have to Google.
No, I'm not asking you to Google. I'm saying that Google is saying this is an African pope, not necessarily black.
What else could he be?
Well, African doesn't necessarily mean black.
Since when?
Well, since, I don't know, probably a long time. I mean,
until they start changing the names and everything?
No. No. Just consider it, Maze. Africa's a big continent. You think?
It is a big continent. What kind of people on it? Before they were invaded.
If you slowed down for a second, Maze, you'd hear me respond a single word.
I'm sorry.
If you'd slow down, just for a moment, Maze, you might hear me get a response in edgewise. Okay. If you look at your screen, this Pope Victor the First. Now, they didn't have photographs back then. But it doesn't necessarily look black, you know.
They got autographs.
I don't know if this Pope Victor the First, and I don't know if this is the one that you're talking about. They're saying this was the first African pope, but African doesn't mean black, Maze. You know, are you familiar with Tunisians? Are you familiar with Moroccans? Are you familiar with Egyptians, allegedly?
What were the Egyptians?
Allegedly not black. Now, I know less about the Egyptians, but
that's what I know.
Tunisians, like Algerians. Wait, sorry, Algeria? Yeah, Algerians. Those aren't black people, Maze.
All right. Okay, if you say so.
No, not if I say so. That's just true. Do you disagree?
You say so.
Yeah, you can look it up. That's a little homework for you. You know how you leave me some homework? That's a little homework for you.
Oh, I see.
So not everybody in Africa is white. Just so you know.
Everybody in Africa is not white now.
And it seems to have been that way for a long time too, by the way.
A long time. In the beginning, were you reading?
Did you look up pictures of this Pope Victor the First?
I have them in my book.
Oh, really?
I tell you, I don't have to go to look up stuff in.
I just don't know. I've never heard of this person. I'm not denying it. I'm just saying upon quickly looking at it, it doesn't seem like a black man. But anyway,
we're not getting into because Reverend Wright don't look black either, do we?
Who?
Reverend Wright. You know when he said the one that said chicken coming home the roof.
Oh yeah. When
he look like he's a black man.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah, sometimes people don't quite look like that. So
how do you
this
determine
Pope? No, I'm saying I don't know. I'm saying this Pope Victor. This Pope Victor.
That's what I'm saying. How do you determine what a black person looks like?
Well, by looking at
other. In India, they don't look white either, do they?
By looking at other black people.
They're just dark.
Right, but by looking at other black people, basically.
And you can go over in Turkey and different places, and you can find some dark people over there.
Right, but by looking, but still by looking at others, you can make.
And so now
you can ascertain. You can ascertain this, right?
But that's not the reason why I called you.
Right. What'd you call him about?
I was listening to Rick with his holy self.
With his what?
Holy people. They're supposed to believe in the Bible, but all of the stuff that he want to do, he want to put the black woman down at the bottom because society said so. So if you look at Candace Owens, she's not a liberal. She's not a liberal. She's supposed to be a conservative. And Candace Owens has her a Caucasian husband, don't she? Does she, Nick?
Oh, go on. Yeah, sure.
So
what's
he's
your point?
saying that she's at the bottom and nobody will look at her. Just because he didn't work out with one, don't mean other men don't like him. Because you got black women all over the world.
When you say he doesn't work out, what do you mean?
Because he didn't work out with the woman he had, and he's upset.
Who are you talking about? Rick?
What?
Who are you talking about?
The person that you just finished talking to.
Okay. Go on.
Well, it should sound foolish to sit up and put a black person down. I'm quite sure.
So Rick. So speculation about Rick.
Yes, Rick.
Candace Owens. Okay, go on.
I'm quite sure.
I'm just waiting for you to finish your statement here so I can respond.
And Janet Jackson, Diana Ross, a whole lot of black women.
Okay. A handful of celebrities.
No
okay, so a handful of celebrities. Okay, go on.
Not only celebrities. If you're walking around and you see people every day, they're mixed race.
Okay.
And then some of them, the men like men too.
And so you
if I had to say so.
So you speculated. So you speculated and made something up about Rick. You mentioned you speculated. No, it's my turn now. No, it's my turn, Maze. It's my turn, Maze. It's my turn, Maze. Thank you. So you speculated in something that you don't know about Rick. You bring up my turn, Maze. My turn, Maze. That's how the game works. So we're playing by the rules. Shall we play by the rules? Yes, Maze.
I'm following your rules.
We'll play by the rules. Thank you, Maze. You say something you don't know about Rick. You just make something up, right? Or something he didn't work out with some woman or whatever. You bring up Candace Owens as one black woman married to a white man. You bring up a handful of celebrities the world I think generally has regarded as attractive, and with that you conclude what?
And what that I conclude is that the black woman
is desired
to the Caucasian woman. That is not the truth.
But Maze,
I didn't told you that. But if you walk around and you see
Maze,
people every
you don't see how that doesn't make sense.
See with your eyes and what you know.
No. I'm asking you. You think that proves the what? That the black woman is the most desired?
Huh?
It's unclear what you think this proves. You think this proves what? That the black woman is in fact desired?
I'm wondering who did the survey. Was it a
No. I asked you a question, Maze. Let's keep it simple. Well, you are concluding something from all this, and it's unclear what it is. Are you concluding that black women are, in fact, desirable, unlike how Rick said? And how desirable do you think they are? Do you think they're as desirable as the other races?
They're just as desirable as anybody else.
And your conclusion and your evidence to that is what? A handful of black celebrities and one Candace Owens? That's really your... What about... Huh?
I can go past the celebrities. I can go on to everyday people.
Wait, what?
I can go to everyday people.
What do you mean, go to everyday people? What does
People
that
that
mean?
you live around, people that you be around.
What'd you say?
I said the people that you live around and the places that you go. You see black women with Caucasian husbands.
I'm not understanding what your point is.
It's what Rick was saying. She's number 4. She's not desirable. Because she's not desirable to him, don't mean that she can't be desirable to everybody else.
Whoa.
That's the problem. She's always been desirable.
But you're
That's
just picking. But you're just cherry picking like us.
No.
I'm sincerely. Hold on, Mace.
Yeah.
Here's what the confusion is. I'm sincerely failing to see how you're unable to see that picking out just because you walk down the street and you saw a woman with a black woman with a white man, it doesn't make black women the most desirable. You know, they're the most divorced, they're the least married, they're the least loved, they're the least picked on these surveys. By the way, these surveys.
I say who did the survey. A gay person did the survey. Or
The point is, people answered the survey, Maze. Nobody put a gun up to their head and said, "Hey, answer the survey the way I want you to." Nobody did that, Maze. They answered the survey out of their own volition. So you're telling me because you saw a black woman with a white man on the street, everything Rick said is a lie.
I'm gonna leave it to you like this, and Rick too. See, Sally Hemming wasn't
She doesn't even talk to me, folks. So I don't even know who I'm talking to here. She's not even talking to me. I hope you've seen. I'm just gonna put her on hold because she doesn't even talk to me. Maze doesn't even talk to me anymore. You know, it's like, hopefully you can see the point I was trying to point out, right? You can see, hopefully now, you can see now the point, right? That she's not even talking to me. You see how it's just like cherry picking, and she's just mad at Rick or something. Black women are the least married, the most divorced, okay? And that's just a fact. That's just a fact. So Maze, are you still there? Okay. Maze is gone. Maze is usually nicer when she gets put on hold, she'll wait. But she has no patience with the anchor baby here. Okay. Usually Maze is nice, you know, waits on hold for a moment while you explain. But no patience with the anchor baby here. Take care, Maze. I love you. Don't know what happened there. Just trying to point out that's silly. They're the most divorced, the least married. Okay. That's just a fact. I mean, do you need stats? Do you need stats to put 2 and 2 together? Oh, wait. Out of all the races, you're telling me the loudest, meanest, most obstinate, most difficult and hardest to deal with in the home is the one that's least liked? Huh? That's crazy, huh? You know, do I need to explain that one, folks? I don't think I need to explain that one. I got Dennis out of New Jersey. How you doing, sir? Appreciate your call. You're on the air.
Hey, how you doing, Anchor baby? How you doing, Nick?
All is well, Dennis. Thanks for your call.
Thanks, yeah. Yeah, a lot of people like to talk about race like, you know, we as human beings, we're like different species of animals, as if, you know, there's this huge difference between a white person and a black person. But I guess that's just the way the world is. You know, some white folks in Europe decided to, you know, invent this thing called race and fit people in, you know, these categories. And now we all just following suit.
What do you mean?
Like this is a real thing.
In what way do you mean?
But I've been hearing a lot of people talking negative about, you know, people from Africa and stuff like that. And,
Dennis, I'm not following. In what way do you mean? You started off saying that this concept of race was created and we're all following suit. I just wanted you to explain what you meant by that.
Right, yeah. So before someone invented the term race, instead of just another human being, what did we consider each other?
And what do you mean by we're all
call each other?
Okay. Following suit means what to you in this case? Just us using the terms, calling each other the different races and all that?
No, we just following this cultural narrative that, you know, race is a real thing, as if just because it was somebody made it up.
So then help. I just don't know. Help me understand what you mean by this. How are you seeing race, and how was it made up, and how is it not?
Oh, well, from my understanding, when I did the research on it, there was some European guys that were did some traveling around the world, and I guess they wanted to define, you know, different races of people based on their travels, and they made up these different races. I think they made up the Caucasoid, which is supposed to be like an Aryan white person, then the Negroid. I think they were trying to say that that person was had like curly hair or darker skin than he had the Mongoloid. I think he was trying to say that's an Asian.
See, I'm actually somewhat familiar with this. Yeah, I'm somewhat familiar. I'm actually somewhat familiar with what you're talking about, and what you just named are phenotypes, what they call phenotypes, and it's something that they call today an outdated science. But I mean, personally, if you ask me, I don't know. The people who call it outdated are like activists and anti-racists, so I don't really trust them either, because those people lie about stuff too. But what you're describing, I'm somewhat familiar. This concept of phenotypes, but I don't think it's fair to say that the white man made up race when he made up phenotypes. That's not fair to say. It's more accurate to say that what happened was phenotypes and whatever that science is, whatever they call it, is the notion and the study of. So basically what happened is they went around the world and they started categorizing facial features, okay? But it's not like race popped up the moment they did that. The world saw themselves as different races from the beginning. It's not like when they made up the term.
No, that's not true. You're making stuff up now.
No. But
it was like it was a group of scientists, European scientists, that made up the concept of race.
No, but here's what I'm trying to say. Let's just clear this. Let's just clear this first thing up first, okay? Before we get lost here, let's just clear this thing on phenotypes. That when whoever made that up, when they were making up phenotypes, they weren't creating race. They were categorizing facial features of the different ethnicities or whatever you want to call them, if you don't want to use that word. You understand what I'm saying with that, at least? When they made the term Negroid, when they made those terms, the oids and all those terms, Negroid, Sanid, Planid, they were trying to categorize physical traits. And yes, they were thinking race. Yes, they were thinking race, but race wasn't created when they created those terms, Negroid, blah, blah. The European man, the African man, the blah, blah, blah man existed before these terms. You understand? And they saw themselves that way.
The human being existed, and before, if you believe in science, the same people that made up these phenotype sciences, they'll tell you that the first humans was Africans to begin with that went to Europe and became white. So what are they? Are they?
I'm not denying it. I've never heard that.
What race are they?
I don't know. I'm not that familiar with this stuff.
Right. Yeah. So our environment determines like what we look like. You know what I'm saying? So if you're a white person and if you live in a hotter climate, of course your skin is going to tan.
You say of course, but you don't know that.
White people in North.
You say of course, but you don't know that. That's also an outdated thing that, so if you're gonna right, because you're saying this phenotypes thing is outdated and these people made this thing up, right? But you just said something that is also considered outdated and made up. You just said the people, depending geographically where you are, that's why you look like that. Black people look like that because they're closer to the equator. Outdated, made up stuff now. Did you know that?
That's not outdated. That's factual.
No, that's not.
Yes, it is.
According to, depends on who you ask, but the
thing is, right, they say that, or for instance, the phenotype thing that you're talking about, people from the closer to the equator, human beings that, who their genetics come from closer to the equator, their hair is more coarse because of the sun, so it makes your hair like more curly. Their lips are bigger because what a lot of people don't know is the thicker lips help to keep the core temperature of your body lower. And then you got like Europeans who are from, way up north during the Ice Age. They have small noses to keep the warmth that's inside of them.
You're repeating. You called in to say this made up stuff about race and these white people who made this thing up, and now we're still living in this world trying to keep up with whatever thing you said they made up. And here you are repeating those very same things you say are made up. Those things you're saying about the lips being big because of the heat and all that was made up by these racist whites who made up race, like you're saying. So which is it?
Yeah, so they
Which one do you believe?
You call it whatever
Do you
want
believe
to
them or
call
not?
it. They could call it whatever they want to call it. Don't mean I have to accept it.
Okay, I'm misunderstanding. Were you accepting it about the lips thing that you were just saying?
No, that's not race. That's just a phenotype.
Oh, okay. My apologies. I thought you were
Yeah,
saying.
that's it.
I thought you were saying that
Because
that's true.
if all right. So, do you believe that all humans come from Africa?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. So you think that we just like poof, just
I don't know.
just came out of the ground in Europe, it came out of the ground in Africa, it came out of the ground in Mexico and stuff like that?
I don't
Just
know.
grew out of the ground like
I don't know.
trees. Yeah, that
I
is
don't
a
know.
wonder.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
I mean, I've read stuff in the Bible, right? You hear things, but I don't know. I don't know. It's a story, right? It's a story you hear that God created this and all that. I personally believe in God and all that, but I don't know. That'd be ridiculous for me to say I knew that. You know you know how humans popped up in the world?
I don't know. No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I really don't know.
Yeah, so just like we have faith in the Bible, we have to have faith in these so-called scientists. They can't prove it to us 100%. But
so what's your point? What are you calling in about?
Well, actually, I had called them because, a lot of people were making issues about race and stuff like that, and I think it's kind of silly how, some Europeans can make up the concept, and then we all just follow up with it. But then
see, I don't understand your point with that because it's only the European who doesn't care about race in that way. It seems to me like only the European, the white man, is the only one that doesn't care about race in that way. So I'm failing to see the point you're making with that because you're saying though here we are, the white man made up race, so obsessed with race. When I seem to have shown in this whole episode it's everybody else is obsessed with race.
Well, is it true that they used to have like whites only, like water fountains and stuff like that, and it was segregation and stuff like that? Is that true?
Right, I heard about that. Yeah.
Do you think they just made it up?
What do you mean? I don't think that was made up. I'm not denying that. Was I denying that happened?
Or do you think like black people put those signs out there?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't
they
think
might
so
have.
either.
I really don't know.
Yeah, so man, I don't know.
I think it seems to me like blacks could have put up those signs too. Like, yeah, right on. We're segregating. Here's our black stuff, and then the whites put up a sign that says these are the white stuff. Or maybe a white person put up both. Or maybe a black person put up both. What are you trying to say? What's your point?
Because black people weren't allowed to read back then in the South, so.
So you're just full of assumptions. You're just like, I don't know, I think, and blah, blah, blah. You just kind of assume, and that's kind of how you conclude stuff about life?
No, I'm giving you factual things that you're diverting for the conversation, but that's okay.
No, I'm asking you.
What I want to get at is,
you just said that I think about what you just said. That wasn't me. That was you. You said that.
For all we know, that this whole entire life that we're living is like some type of computer program that some spirit or some alien from a different world or a different dimension is making up, and this is all a matrix for all we know.
So you do you deny that everybody?
I can't tell you. Tell you I know anything for a fact.
Fair enough. Me neither.
I can't even tell you. I could be dreaming that I'm talking to you right now.
Fair enough. Me neither. But how about this? Let me ask you about in America. Would you say whites are obsessed with race?
I have no idea. I don't keep track of them that much to know.
So what do you know? What do you pay attention to?
Oh, this is what I was trying to get at. Okay, so I hear a lot of people talking about like the history of the blacks and what happened to us in Africa, right? So, here's the thing. A lot of people say, oh, well, blacks already had slavery or Africans already had slavery. I mean, what is slavery? I mean, think about it. Who didn't have slavery, right? Slavery was a necessary concept for civilization when humans started to like stop being nomads and they started farming. So when they had to farm and build up their communities, they needed like people, they needed bodies to work in those fields. And Africans did the same thing that every other culture did, where they had people working in the fields for them. And Europeans came and turned that concept of people working for them and and turned that into chattel slavery, where they separated them race-wise. White, you're white, so you're allowed these rights, and if you're black, you're allowed these rights, or no rights at all. You just, a farmhand or a piece of cattle. You know what I'm saying? That worked on the farm. So when Africans had, these quote unquote so-called slaves, they were workers that were owned or worked for, a different group of people or a king or what have you, but they were considered black people too, or they were considered part of the group as well, and they helped to not only be part of the community and a part of the group, but they also helped fight for that group against other like competing tribes that used to try to take land or something like that. So, and they a lot of people making all these excuses about Africans in Africa attacking the Europeans in South Africa. Well, the Europeans only came to Africa for the gold, and there's a ton of gold in South Africa. That's why they came.
Was
here.
it chattel slavery when the Africans were doing it?
No.
So, I guess I'll ask you this: how do you know this? Because you've concluded in your mind. You've concluded in your mind that being a black slave, being one of these African slaves, was way better because you were still black at least. And then it's like, oh, I'm being whipped and I'm being a slave and being treated however a slave is treated, but at least I'm an African. And then so in your mind, it's like it was way better in some way. It was better. I want to know how you know that.
Well, I'm not saying that it was way better because
you might know that. Maybe you know this. I just want to know how you know that.
Well, I was just saying that I'm knowing this by reading books, the same books that I read when I open up the Bible or the Quran or any other book, right?
All right. Fair enough, man. Appreciate your point on this. Thanks, Dennis. So anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I was just saying that
I can't confirm or deny what you're saying. You said you read some book, and in this book, black slaves were treated were still, at least they were still black, and so I don't know, somehow you concluded this, and in your mind, black slavery is different than white slavery.
No, see, you trying to
it's silly, man.
To make it seem like
it's a whole bunch of assumptions.
Making up stuff in my mind.
It's a whole bunch of assumptions.
Like actual conclusive evidence.
I can't fight you on it because you said you read it in some book, and I'm like, whatever. If you read it in some book, so be it. I'm not going to call you a liar. I'll just leave it at that and let it go.
Jesus is real?
You said what?
How do you know Jesus is real?
Jesus is real? Oh, I don't know about that question. How do I know he's real? Like as like a historical figure? Like as a historical figure? Yes.
Okay, so how do you know Jesus is real? Was you there?
I don't. I just know him as a historical figure in the Bible. If that's what you're asking.
Okay, so you don't believe he was real or not real. You just
look, man. You got to get to your point. You keep talking around it. What's your point? What do you want to ask me? Yes, the historicity, the historicity of Jesus is something. The historicity
you made up in your mind, or is it like do you know that?
Yeah, the historicity of most historical figures we simply only know it from writings, and so I understand what you're getting at, Dennis. So, what's your point? Dennis?
Yeah, I don't know. So I got to be. Yeah, my point was that everything we learn from somebody else. That's how humans transmit information and knowledge.
Right. And
so you can
in some book. No, but I'm not. It's like, where do you even start with all that? It's like I don't even know where to start with all that, Dennis. I'm not fighting any of that. I'm not denying that books aren't real. I'm simply saying you simply brought up a conclusion that I'm not going to fight you on. You're saying that being a black slave was basically better than being a white slave, being a slave in a different race. And it's like, okay, says you. I've heard this before. They call it chattel slavery. They call it they have their own special word for slavery. But all those people who say that, they don't describe anything truly different. They just describe two different races, and all they see is two different colors. And they say, well, this color is different, and they treat that color different. It's like I can show you accounts of white slave masters treating their black slaves amazing. I can show you accounts of white slave masters treating their black slaves badly. I can show you accounts of black slave masters, etc., right? But if you want to make that conclusion and call it its own word and call it chattel slavery and start sounding like all these other race hustlers and all that, I don't know if that's you, Dennis. I'm not making any claims. It's just if you want to say that, I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to fight you. I think it's silly.
Yeah, I feel you. I'm not going to face you. And if you want to believe that race is a real word that's from Europeans and Europe made up, a couple hundred years ago, just so they can, separate the human race, the humans from other humans just based on their skin color and their phenotype, then, that's something that you can accept. And if in
Fair
your
enough.
head, that feels good,
Fair enough. Do you
go
think
ahead
it's
and
silly
accept
though do you think it's silly that you don't think it's silly that you think that people didn't see different races before someone made the word Negroid, etc.? What do you think the world was doing?
I think the world.
What do you think? Yeah, that's a great
doing-
question. What do you think the world? How did you think the world saw each other then, before this concept of race was created?
I think that the world saw each other as wake up, find food, talk, go to sleep, just like every other human being in the world do.
Really?
Okay. Whether or not you run into another human being that
So
looks
why do
different
they
from
all
you
kill each
is
other?
something totally different.
So why have they
Now,
all been trying to kill each other for thousands and thousands of years?
Because that's what every living species on this entire planet does, is kill.
Were they doing that before the concept of race was existed, or did the white man do that too?
Yeah, everything kills. Everything kills.
Did the concept of murdering each other, because before we were just waking up and seeing each other and we were just hungry, right? Did the white man create that too? The
we
concept
were
of
murdering
murder?
animals so we could eat. We were murdering plants and animals so we could eat.
Okay. But anyway, I just don't think you thought this one through, man. I think before any word, I think before the words Negroid, I think before the words Negroid and all that, people saw each other as different, and grouped up, and that's how the world is.
All right, and I think you're wrong.
Fair enough, man. You're welcome to call me again if you got more evidence on this. I'd like to hear it.
Okay, yeah, but if you let me show you citations, I'll do that.
Please, yeah, and I will shut up and you can side away.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Dennis. Call me again.
Thanks.
Hey, race. Am I race obsessed, guys? I don't know. I'm trying to find interesting things to talk about too. It's crazy, man. It's like the world that we grew up in is changing. But anyways, I don't trip personally. My life's fine. It's crazy. You don't see it? What shall we do now? I'm a bit loosey-goosey this Monday. On the topics and stuff to talk about here, if I may. Let's see what y'all are saying in the last few minutes of the show. Appreciate the super chats, everybody. Thank you, R1. Says, I love beautiful Maze from Ohio. It's sad she didn't want to chat. Sigh, next time. I love her too. Maybe I was frustrating her or something. Nick, if anybody talks fast like Maze, maybe it's Nick and it's just like too much or something. I had put her on hold just a mere moment. It was just, I needed to slow down myself. It was stressing me out. I'm trying to run a show, right? I put her on hold for a mere moment and Maze was gone. Thank you, Angband Art, with the super chat. It says, good job keeping the order on the show, Nick. I observe quite the BS detector in you. Appreciate that, sir. Pablo with the super chat says, much love. Thank you all the support, everybody. My supporters on Rumble and everybody. So generous today. Amazing. Amazing. Okay, so what else? Amazing calls, super chats, and all that. What shall we do now? Here, let's do this in the last few minutes of the show. Let's just do something different. Fun, filler content, nothing too deep. Because I had mentioned, okay, how do I bring this up? If you've been watching my show, you've seen me bring up all sorts of things, right? I don't know. I pay attention to all sorts of different things. It can get wild. It can get very diverse, eclectic. And you know me, I'm a cultured individual. I know things about cultures in deeper ways that most would even want to know. Most wouldn't even want to know the things I know. And there's something funny about a particular swath of the American public. And I'd say this is definitely more prevalent in the more, call it, vibrant communities in America. The ghetto areas. You got the Hispanics, these Dominicans, New York, Puerto Ricans, Boricuas, black people in South Central California, SoCal, right? And New York. So that's the demographic I'm talking about. And they love doing this thing with dogs, okay? Breeding these strange pit bull creations, okay? Have you heard me talk about this before? There's this culture. It's like a culture. It's definitely like I said, it's like a bully. What do they call it? I forget what they call it, but it's like a bully mixing culture. And these people, what they do is they're like mad scientists. They're like mad scientists. They took this thing that the European man used to do, which is breed dogs for all these various purposes, like hunting moles or chickens or whatever. And what they do is they're really, the whole goal is to just make the most crazy looking homunculus of a dog, like homunculus of a canine. How short can we make its legs? That's what they call it. Exotic bullies. Exotic bully breeding, they call it. And look at this. This might be AI, but it might not be. Oh, check it out. Yep. Look, they're black. Told you. Hold on. We got to unmute. So the Mexicans, the Boricuas, like the more ghetto kind of blackified, the Hispanics that say the N-word, they're kind of, some of them are into this. And it's exotic. They try and make them very exotic. And it's really sick sometimes. Like these poor creatures don't look like they wish to stop existing. They don't look very happy simply breathing. Yeah, are you seeing this? So this is the world of exotic bully breeding. And some of you just didn't even believe me like that this happens, but it does. And of course, it just so happens a video came across my way that expresses this very thing. And you know what? I'm kind of second guessing about. This video is full of swearing. So I apologize. But here is that very competition. You guys didn't even believe me. On display. And here you have two people fighting over how exotic their bully is. And they're swearing, and I think this guy looks like what? Like a Boricua type guy, Boricua type Hispanic. And they swear a bunch, so apologies. This guy swears he has the most unique thing ever. Just look upon the table. They all have their exotic bullies, right? And the point is to make them all wide-stanced. You get more points the more wide stance and messed up skeletal structure they have, the more scrunch up their faces, and the more they have different criteria. And this guy, he wants to shake up the whole game, and decided to be a little mad scientist and mixed his bully with something else and made this furry little creation. And so you see what's happening here. They're competing on who has the most exotic thing. He decided to kind of like flip the game on its head and just make something completely different. It's up to the eye of the beholder, right? Is this really wow, truly exotic? There's nothing like it, but also looks messed up. Like, who will win? I don't know. I personally think they should all. I don't know what I do to them in my America, but I would not allow this.
Exotic is something. Nobody got this, though.
Look at it. This thing doesn't even want to be alive. This thing is begging to. It's like, kill me, please.
Got the smash mug, not the long snout. Long snout? How you figure? Less than 2 fingers. He could breathe. Wait. You got a tail?
You got a tail, huh? You got a tail on yours? Yeah, mine has a tail. My lab creation. See how they're fighting? These are the mad scientists of 2025. What you are seeing are imagine like lab coats, like German, no, it's these guys. It's these guys. These are the labs. These are the mad scientists of the modern age, And he's like, oh, does your test tube creation have a tail on it? No, well, mine does.
Shit.
No high rear though.
This ain't high rear.
Stand them
You
up.
crazy?
Stand that
Yeah,
door
you
up. Stop
standing
pulling
up.
that rear back.
Not putting no rear,
Pulling
baby.
that
Come
rear
on.
back.
Let's do a side shot.
Side shot.
Let's do a side shot. Let's do a side shot.
These are mad scientists. Look at this.
Let's see that shit. Let's see that shit. That shit got that Chihuahua face. That shit ain't got a bully face.
Anyways, so that's horrible. Them dogs aren't happy. What have they done to God's biology, to the gift of life? You know? Look at this poor creation.
That'd be a mutt. This is the new mutt. This is the new wave. Look at that front.
The new wave.
Come on, baby. Look at that front. I see cameras on this. What about that? Fuck out of here.
Oh, sorry, folks. New York. F out of here. Get out of here. So, I just wanted to show you that, because if you guys have been watching my show, you guys know some of these niche things I know, and now you know them with me. And now you're not safe. You're not free from the pains of the world because I'm showing them to you. Okay? That's it from me, folks. Lin Yan Chen with a super chat on this. Thank you, man. It says, breeding degenerate versions of various animals is inhumane, as it is to mix various POC and human to render things like me. Mad world. Lin Yan Chen from one mutt anchor bait. What? Are we both mutts? I don't know. I'm like the Spaniard with that indigenous malice, you know. I may not on looks alone, people might deny it, but if you knew me, you would know that I have that indigenous malice in me. All right, yo, I hope you liked today's show. Got to messing around a bit, loosey-goosey, important things at the beginning, having fun, doing the calls, doing the super chats, and all the topics. That's it from me today, folks. Truly, I must go. I have to vacate the studio, actually. We got Punchy TV coming up. You don't want to miss it. Punchy TV, new episode on the Punchy TV YouTube channel and punchy.tv put together. So check it out. Appreciate it. Other than that, that's it, right? That's it from me. Take care, folks. See you at the Punchy over there on the Punchy chat. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything else here. We done did it all. That's it for me, folks. Let me say bye. For real. Take care. See you tomorrow. Peace. Oh, Lil Nick too, he's got to say bye-bye.